Hi there, I'm Karen Roby here with Matt Miller, the mobile gadgeteer. We're talking today about the Garmin Forerunner 245 Music. So Matt, just start off with what's new in this model versus the old one?
Yeah, so it's been a couple years since we had the Garmin 235, and that series was released for kind of the casual runner, not necessarily a marathoner, but the person that wanted to get started. And so now I think it's 3 years later, we have Garmin releasing the 245 and the 245 Music, and essentially the Garmin 245 Music, which I have here, is essentially the Garmin 645 but $100 less. I mean, this thing has everything that a casual runner, all the way up to a marathoner, would want to use. And what we see often with the Garmin devices is that they're multi-sport. They'll have those features in there, but this is really optimized for the runner. That's the Forerunner name. And, we've got all kinds of new features in this one. It has the integrated GPS. It has the integrated heart rate monitor. It does sleep tracking, and it has everything in here that you would see in a high-end Garmin, except for Garmin Pay, and there's no barometer. So the barometer is for people who like to track stairs that they climb. You often see that on Fitbits, I believe. Most of them have stair climbing. So there is no integrated barometer. However, when you're doing a run and you have your GPS on, it will still calculate the altitude differences using GPS. It's just not integrated into the device itself.
So you really, Matt, you really recommend this really from anyone that's just a, everyday walker that maybe wants to have music on to someone that's running miles and miles every week, maybe training for a marathon.
Absolutely. I mean, the 245 Music, I've been using it actually for 2 weeks before the review came out, and I've been running with it every day, wearing it every day, sleeping with it, because it's extremely light. I think it's 73 grams, something like that. It's very light. It's made out of polycarbonate plastic. It's got a very soft silicone band, and it does the daily tracking, right? All your steps, and then it has new features such as body battery. So it essentially is using your sleep, your activity, and it has algorithms that they create in the software, and it shows you as a battery, right? So you go to sleep, and if you get enough sleep, it'll go to 100. And then as you do exercise during the day, it starts to deplete the battery. And then if you rest or you're sitting or something, it'll kind of re-energize the battery. So it's a nice, quick metric for people to see where they're at and how they're feeling. It also has a feature in here that previously we saw on the Garmin 5 or the Phoenix, which is a 700, 800, a very expensive device. And it's the Pulse OX that measures oxygen saturation. And this is typically used for people that are climbing, that are hiking up in mountains and things like that, to find out what their oxygen saturation is. But it's also now used as part of the sleep tracking to kind of add another metric to your sleep quality and your sleep status. And then, as you mentioned about taking this out and about for listening to music, it does have integrated music playback. So it can sync with iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Deezer, or some people still have MP3s on their computer. They can load right onto the watch. The watch will hold up to about 500 songs, and then it connects via Bluetooth to a Bluetooth headset to play back. And in the past, some of these watches have had kind of intermittent playback and things. I tested this with 3 different headsets, and the playback was flawless. So you can leave the phone behind if you would like.
Wow, and that is really nice. That's a nice feature. And these smartwatches and all of these things are getting smarter and smarter. And really, for the health benefits, they can do so much to help us track and be cognizant of our health. Like you mentioned, whether it's just your heart rate or sleeping or how many steps you're taking, they really are so beneficial.
Yeah, and one thing I would like to add is it may be good for you to take your phone, because these new line of Garmins have a thing called incident detection. And I think we've seen that in the Apple Watch, right? The Apple Watch will detect if you have a fall or a tumble, and then kind of notify people. So this has that similar technology. It's called incident detection. You set it up with up to 3 contacts in the software, and then with your connected phone, if you happen to take a dramatic fall or something that kicks this off, it'll say getting ready to send a message, and then So if it's an errant message or a fall detection, you could turn it off. But if not, it'll let somebody know. And as I get older and I go out and run for miles and miles, it's nice to make sure that I have that ability to reach back to people. It's a nice safety feature to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So not only convenient for us, but also from a safety perspective, making sure if we're out like that, that we're staying safe. So Garmin, Matt has been pretty busy, of course, coming out with or announcing 5 new devices this past week. Talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, so we have the Garmin 45 and the 45S. The difference between those two is just a size difference. One is 39 millimeters, the other one is 42 millimeters. And those are more basic than the 245. They do have GPS, they do have a heart rate monitor. They just don't capture all of the different running dynamics and as much data as what you'll find in the 245 and the 245 music. And the 45 and the 45S are priced the same at $200. Then there's the 245, which is the same as the 245 music, except it does not have the integrated storage for music, and that is $50 less at $300. And then the big daddy that I will eventually be reviewing is the Garmin Forerunner 945, which is essentially the highest end, the Phoenix type, but made with plastic materials rather than metal materials. And that one is a multi-sport watch that's designed for triathletes. It has golf in there. It has all the winter sports. I mean, it captures and tracks everything you could imagine, pretty much. So that's for serious athletes right there.
Yeah, definitely. So really something for everyone, which it's nice for, people to have so many choices. Matt, we always look forward to your reviews. Thank you for that. And for more on Matt's review of the Garmin products, be sure you check out ZDNet.